policy. And he still defends that decision in an ad for Al Gore out in front of the Capitol. That was outrageous. Now, I think the Glenn Beck quote, I think that was in USA Weekend. I believe Beck was being facetious with the reporter by saying he believes that the globe is warm, but he still questions mankind's role. But in terms of looking at the political and scientific climate right now, the movement is absolutely dead. The problem is there's a thing called zombies and the undead, and this can be resurrected as quickly as a lame duck session of Congress, as quickly as Obama ordering his EPA to start regulating CO2 because Congress wouldn't do it. So
they've announced that they've announced they're doing that. They're going ahead with it.
They are. They're trying to say it's going to be watered down, but there's a couple ways. Congress can try to pass a law restricting the EPA's ability. Obama's already said he'll veto it. And then all we're going to have left with are the courts. And, of course, the longer Obama's in, the more he gets to stack the courts. And it's particularly the Supreme Court, which actually opened the door for this. I think it was either 2007 or 2008, now the big Supreme Court case, that allowed us to regulate CO2 as a pollutant. Think about that. For the first time in human history, we're regulating what we exhale from our mouth. CO2. We inhale oxygen, we exhale CO2. And now the United States government, the old expression, they can't tax the air we breathe. Oh, yes, they can. They're going to be taxing what we exhale. This is just the madness of our age. And what's so funny is we've caught them red-handed. We've caught them in scandal. We've caught them in fraud. We got them recanting. We have scientists now switching. We have a major left-wing scientist like Dennis Rancourt out of Canada who now says global warming is nothing but an imaginary problem of the first world middle class. Major leftists are bailing, saying they can't go on with this anymore because the movement is in tatters. It never should have been a movement, and Al Gore is making them sick. So,
meanwhile, Austin has passed stealth carbon taxes, but they admit it. $2.6 billion over the next 3 years on power and gas. They just don't care. They just don't care. And I saw Schwarzenegger during the Copenhagen summit. He said, I'm going to lead governors and mayors to save America. We're going to do it. And so they just don't care. They're just coming in swindling.
Well, here's the thing. Here's how you know it's a con. Let's assume that the United Nations is right. Let's assume Al Gore is right on the science. Let's assume Arnold Schwarzenegger is correct on the science. Even if you buy that, the granddaddy of all, the Kyoto Protocol, wouldn't even have a detectable impact on climate using their science. The most shocking thing is we have professors here in the United States, a guy named Professor Brown, coming out saying it's the greatest ethical scandal that Washington didn't pass the climate bill in order to bring us to a low-carbon economy. Well, Obama's own EPA administrator, Lisa Jackson, admitted if the congressional climate bill became law, not only would it not impact temperature, it wouldn't even impact global CO2 levels. In other words, it's purely symbolic. And yet we're told by Barbara Boxer, we're told by President Obama, that the bill will prevent floods, droughts, hurricanes. It's literally, we've advanced no more than the ancient Aztecs, Alex. 1450 or so, they slaughtered thousands of Aztecs in order to bring about an end to droughts. And this is where we are now. We think we can control by eliminating SUVs and unplugging our phone chargers and getting rid of coal and returning back that we can somehow control the weather. This is no more scientifically advanced. What we're seeing on Capitol Hill and from the UN, than what they did with the witch trials. A bad crop, let's blame a witch. It's the witches doing it. They honestly believe we control the Earth's thermostat. This has become the madness of our age. It's climate astrology.
Well, you're right. By the mid-level minions, kind of the outer court, they really do believe it. But when you read Club of Rome, UN, and others, it's all about population reduction, and it's about government and select corporate mafias allowing certain industries to operate and others not to. It's about them funding their buddies with federal and international money through so-called green job initiatives. It's just the big city mafia model taking over the planet. I mean, at the end of the day, the leadership of these groups, from my research, know exactly what they're doing. Can you expound on your research and what the end game is for these people, Mark?
Well, the end game is they've decided they want a collective society. And I'm talking about going back to the 1960s. What the environmental movement really is, it's a collection of a ragtag collection of the leftover radical hippies from the 1960s. And I say that seriously. If you look at the first Earth Day, that's what it was. That's what it was known as. George Will and actually another commentator did a great analysis of the entire green movement. They've literally taken the word progress out of the progressive movement. And so what this is a existence about bean counters, about international bureaucrats, and about a collectivism. This is what Claude Václav Klaus, the president of the Czech Republic, who knows something about communism, when he said the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union collapsed, the greatest threat to freedom we face is from what he called ambitious environmentalism. And what they've done since the late 60s forward is they've just plug and play. In other words, every scare of the day had the same solutions and the same cause, mankind, and the same solutions. We need more government, more regulation.
Stay there, Mark. Stay there. Sure. Global government. Let's come back and talk about global government. Because in their own words, once they get the carbon tyranny in place and can tax you for breathing, they're going to tax the family out of existence. These are human-hating control freaks. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Good day, Jim Newcomer from Midas Resources. September 13th, 2010. Gold opened this morning at $1245.40. A 1-ounce gold coin can be purchased for $1278.47, $639.23 for a half ounce, or $319.62 for the quarter ounce. That's $1278.47, $639.23, or $319.62.
Again, the Congressional Budget Office sounds the alarm, warning of Greek-style U.S. debt crises. CBO is drawing a parallel between U.S. economy and the Greek economic meltdown. Debt to GDP climbing to unfamiliar territory and deficits rising to unsupportable levels. Hi, Ted Anderson. The Federal Debt and Risk of Financial Crises document the CBO has published is a must-read for every American. Covering the risks of deficit spending, aging population, and rising interest rates spells economic disaster. Call today at 800-686-2237. I'll send it free. Again, call 800-686-2237. Ask for the CBO document. Call 800-686-2237.
What is a wind generator?
How can the wind produce power for a small cabin?
How can wind energy be stored and used during an emergency?
Can I assemble my own wind generator?
For answers to questions about wind power, visit windbluepower.com. Did you know the wind could provide your family with emergency power? It can with a wind generator from windbluepower.com. Learn how our amazing LightBreeze wind generator kits start charging a 12-volt battery and just 6 mile per hour wind. Or see the new Cyclone X2 dual kit featuring 2 wind generators on just 1 tower. And learn why schools and universities across the country utilize our products to teach about wind power and alternative energy at windbluepower.com. All kits qualify for a 30% IRS tax credit for residential energy efficient property. Enter coupon code RADIO for a 5% discount at windbluepower.com. That's windbluepower.com or call 800-976-0026. That's 800-976-0026.
Mark Moreno is going to be with us for about 40 after. Then I'm going to get into Bill Gates and the death panels. And that connects into this. Bill Gates is funding all this carbon tax baloney. And they admit it's about population reduction. It's about you freezing your butt off in the dark. Mark, I want to get into ways to beat these people. And I also want to talk about population reduction with you. But what we have to remember, and I want you to speak to this, is they're not backing off. They're accelerating at the, quote, independent school district level. They are confirmed showing elementary, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade children cartoon documentaries, same thing in Australia, where little bunny rabbits die. And I'm talking to adults, parents, everywhere, who say that their daughters and sons, when they drive by a new construction site, start crying and hate themselves. And this ties into death education and the suicides. I mean, this is making everybody guilty for having any wealth and just giving it all to these parasites so Al Gore can chase his masseuses around with his Johnson flopping about. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's what's going on here.
Yeah, you're mentioning kids here. There's a new Brendan Fraser Brooke Shields film, and I think it's called Furry Revenge or something like that, and it's all geared toward kids being upset at a development project. A few years back, there was a movie about a pancake house going up in Florida, and it was all about kids being taught to glorify eco-terrorism. They went and they put in alligators on the site, to cause destruction, they vandalized the site, all to prevent the environment from being hurt. This is Hollywood, mainstream Hollywood. Carl Heissian, the author, was the one that wrote that book, and it was made into a movie. They're propagandizing our kids to be eco-terrorists.
They're building their Mal brigades.
The Discovery gunman didn't have this kind of propaganda when he was little, so you can imagine where we're going to be 30 years from now. But it's absolutely, if you look across the spectrum at what they were doing, when we went to the break, I was just explaining to you briefly, is that they've had multiple eco-scares, and when they fade away, they just plug in a new one. In the 1970s, we had the overpopulation scares, we had resource scarcity, predictions of famine, you had pesticide scares, DDT scares, you had the man-made global cooling scares. In the 80s and 90s, we had the Amazon rainforest, the deforestation, getting all the kids sad at the monkeys going homeless, their predictions the Amazon would be gone. By the way, the Amazon, for every acre cut in the tropical forest worldwide, an estimated 50 are growing back. People are leaving the jungle. They're calling them the galloping jungle. They're growing so fast. So that eco-scare faded away. Now with global warming fading away, they have so much invested in it, they're not going to let it fully fade away. But right now the UN has already come out and has a new biodiversity panel modeled after the IPCC panel. And by the way, it's exactly modeled because there's been analysis done, multiple errors all about the species. In fact, on Climate Depot today, I have a whole article on the species extinction. And what they've done, it's the same solution, different ecosystem.
Yeah, we're taking all your property because of a cave bug or a bat or a salamander. They've caught the EPA and the Forestry Service releasing endangered animals in areas where they weren't geographically as a pretext to land grab. So they're going back to that tried and trusted, we got to take your power, we've got to have you pay us taxes or the polar bears will die. It doesn't matter if their numbers are exploding off the charts. They'll just tell you they're all dead. They're teaching children in public schools that penguins are drowning when they're aquatic birds.
Oh yeah, no. What they're teaching them in public is it's a crime, and in fact, it's become what I call climate astrology. Anything in 2007, the UN basically said many bad things will happen, and guess what? Bad things always happen, and now every time a bad thing happens, it's proof that the UN is the new Nostradamus of our age. Everyone looks to, well, the UN predicted that. We have a Debbie Stabenow, the Michigan senator, who now says she believes in man-made global warming because every time she flies, the turbulence is worse. She feels global warming when she flies in the form of worse turbulence. She doesn't remember airline turbulence being that bad.
So it's total paranoid voodoo. Let me throw this in before we go to break and come back and get into population reduction and their numbers on that front, because I know you're an expert in that area. What about all these other things that have been proven wrong? I mean, there's so many other things that they have predicted were going to happen that haven't happened.
Yeah, I mean, going back, the DDT scare, not only was it scientifically baseless, but it probably cost millions of lives of people in Africa who couldn't face malaria. And not only that, it's inconveniencing a lot of people in big cities today with the explosion of bed bugs, because we're not allowed to use DDT to kill bed bugs. It's probably the most effective tool against bed bugs. If you go back to the 1970s, remember that we mentioned the global cooling scare, which faded away by the late 70s. Then you have the resource scarcity.